Welcome back to the conversation. I am your host, Michael Barnett, and today we are joined by Ali Malvicino, Head of Sales Solutions for the Newline product at Fifth Third Bank. Ali, super excited to have you on the podcast today.
Thanks, Michael. Thank you for having me.
So we're going to talk about a lot of cool stuff today in regards to, one, Fifth Third Bank, who is a dominant player in the embedded finance and fintech technology world. We're going to talk a lot about what's happening at the bank, some of the investments that they've made, but just fintech in general for all those that are interested in either joining the fintech revolution, building fintech applications, or you're already in fintech and just want to hear from others and what's going on. So Ali and I have a lot of great things to discuss today. Let's get going. So Ali, I guess one of the things that we all would love to hear from you is just, talk a little bit about fintech in general and what it means to you. And the reason why I'm asking you that is because in my travels and like where I go from place to place, I speak to a lot of individuals who say they are fintech platforms and say that they are in fintech. And it seems like we're fintech and embedded finance, very overused phrases these days. One, fintech. Everyone's a fintech, it seems like. And two, like I just came from a big conference a couple of weeks ago where you and I had a chance to spend some time together out in Las Vegas. And it seems like everybody is in embedded finance. But as I started to interview some of these individuals, I'm like, really? Are you really embedded finance? I'm not sure that you're really embedded finance. And yes, I had that high pitched tone when I was asking that question. So like, what is embedded finance to you? Someone who is really in embedded finance.
That's a great question because I, like you, speak to people and try to explain what I do for a living and what my job is. And it's very hard to explain to people. And I used to use the PayPal scenario to explain what embedded finance is. I would explain how PayPal is this non-bank, they're not a financial institution, but they've built a bunch of technology that allows people to move money, accept money, send money, and behind the scenes as a bank, embedding their services with PayPal. So that is the best way for me to describe what embedded finance is. It's a non-bank offering access to payment rails, stored funds, anything that the bank can offer through a platform that they've built. So they've built technology to support that.
Perfect.
Simple, right? I mean, that's really all it is.
I think so. I do believe that the others, whoever the others are redefining what embedded finance is. And you know what, though? I think anything can be redefined and things have been redefined over time. But I think that was a very simple and clear definition. I agree with you. As I had joked earlier before we started recording this podcast, was that embedded finance is when one company that doesn't necessarily offer financial services wants to offer financial services. So they partner with the financial services company and then they integrate that financial services company's stuff inside of their stuff so their customers can get access to that financial services technology. Embedded finance.
Yeah. Right? I mean, Stripe is a great example. Stripe's a great example, obviously, because they're a customer of mine. So like I'll use them as an example, but they are one of the first, right, who said people can't make payments, or businesses that aren't payments companies are having a hard time accepting payments. And they came up with this way of embedding a solution so that regular people who have a business that's not financial can easily accept payments. That's a very simplified embedded. Now embedded finance obviously is more complex, and Stripe is more complex, right? And they offer all sorts of financial products. But really, that's the simple way it started, right? I sell shoes. I'm not a bank, but I need to accept payments. And everything is online now, and it changed, right? Everything changed, and it'll keep changing. Like you said, it's always changing. There's always something changing. New.
I feel like the embedded finance really started when the first company, and I didn't do my research previous to our conversation, so I don't remember the name, but the first buy now, pay later company that integrated their BNP services into an online shopping cart. That is
Mm.
probably like the first really iteration that a consumer likely felt or noticed in the embedded finance world, because that is technically embedded finance, right? It's
Yeah.
embedded finance, BNP. And that's a big one. And it's been around for a very long time and been around for a while and didn't necessarily, and it's not like, I guess it doesn't get all the glamour and glitz that all the other products are getting today.
Yeah, I mean, even I started in prepaid, right? So prepaid is a big part of my history and my career and where I get a lot of my knowledge from and where I really learned about financial technology and startups and all the things that go along with what we call embedded finance today. But I think really prepaid is kind of where it started a little bit. And the idea that you have this non-bank creating accounts that people can send money to, and then a non-bank has an app that allows you to access that money. Again, people have no idea, and they do because it says issued by and it gives you a bank name, but
Right.
they didn't at first, they didn't really understand that there is an actual bank holding your money behind the scenes. It's a one big account, but it's still holding your money.
Right.
But that's sort of where like the sort of people started becoming creative. Financial technology started becoming really creative. And they were like, how do we make this better? How do we do more things? And we can use this stored value account. It doesn't have to have a card. It could just be a stored value of funds somewhere. And that's sort of where things shifted a little. I think when people realized, oh, I don't need a card. I can do this without a card. And that's where the innovation really started taking off, wallets and things like that.
Exactly. So there's some history here. And I do see embedded financing as kind of reinventing itself then, starting back from the prepaid card days and to buy now, pay later, and now all of the different technology platforms that you see today. And by the way, that's something that you were really excited about. So everybody wants to know, how did you get to where you are in kind of the embedded technology side of business at Fifth Third Bank? And like, what excites you about embedded lending and financial technology as a whole? Everybody wants to know, Ali. Everybody wants to know.
I've heard that everyone wants to know. I've been preparing myself for this moment. I've been waiting my whole life to tell people why I'm excited about this. You know, I did mention I started in prepaid. I started at a processor, and it was my first exposure to payments, and it was all about cards and prepaid services, debit. And through that experience, I was able to help some customers who had really interesting product ideas where they were building this technology to support distributing cards or card numbers and understanding how the networks work and helping those customers build their products. I really got the bug for technology, and like I really caught this like fever of like, how can we make this more interesting and creative? Because it really to me was super boring just to be in payments, but to see that all the
don't tell that to the payments people, okay? Some of them are watching right now.
They are, and so I work with some of them. But to be able to, I was lucky enough to have great mentors in my career, and I think the great thing about this industry, there's so many people have been doing this from the beginning that are still doing it. So there must be something great about fintech because people are still in it after 20 years. And I was able to do some consulting, and I think that just watching the creative ways that people were reinventing how they can offer financial technology and services. You think it's boring, and then you see somebody else create something new. It involves, it could be healthcare, insurance. It doesn't matter what it is. It's whatever their imagination can come up with. And along with that comes with the supporting systems, right? The fraud technology and the anti-money laundering technologies and all the other ecosystem partners. It's just a really, I'm a creative person. So for me to sit at a desk and be an office person every day is not I'm not suited for that. So all of that interesting stuff helped me to be able to stay in this business. I mean, I've tried to leave, and it just pulls you back in because a lot of people don't have the passion for it. And if you have passion for it, then you find yourself find, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I will come back to payments or prepaid or fintech or whatever we want to call it, or embedded
Always pulls you
finance.
back.
It pulls you back, try to escape, and it won't let you go.
It's funny. I had dinner with a longtime associate last week, and when we first met, he was building a fintech company, a lending company, and he built a lending company, very successful. And then he ended up exiting the business, selling his share in the company, and going and starting a bed and breakfast. He's like, I'm done. Okay, I'm out of here. It's over. I'm done. So he goes and starts a bed and breakfast. He runs a bed and breakfast for 3 years, almost 4 years. One thing leads to another. He sells the bed and breakfast. And then he is at this point where he's trying to discover what he wants to do next. And he's dabbling in one thing or the other. Where do you think he is now? Back in financial technology, building a tech-enabled lending institution for commercial lending. And so just it brings you back, especially if you have passion for it. And it sounds like you have a passion for what you do, and you definitely have a passion for financial technology, embedded lending, etc. I want to get into what you're doing at Newline in a moment, but before that, I'd like to tell you why I'm passionate about embedded lending and financial technology. So as a little kid growing up, didn't have a lot of money, or my family wasn't considered financially successful. Like, we wouldn't say that, well, they were like really wealthy. We weren't that family. Like, we had, very nominal means, modest means. I would say their typical standard middle class, lower middle class, hardworking parents. And so just didn't have a lot of money. So as a kid, I always wanted money, right? Wanted money and wanted to figure out how to make it. And I don't know where I picked this up, but I picked it up from somewhere. I don't know where. That if you want to make money, just you got to get a job or work in an industry where you're very close to the money. So that could be like, an investor, trader, stockbroker, maybe a lender, whatever it is. You need to focus on a career that is going to put you as close to the money as possible. Because I thought as a young person, well, if I'm close to the money, then I'm learning about how to make money. It wasn't 100% the case. But the idea was there. So I was young. I think I was 16 or 16 and a half. I got a job at a bank. Right? I was a bank teller for a while, learned about banking. And then when I went to college, I then learned about technology. And then my first job out of college was working for an embedded lender, the largest embedded lender, I think, on the face of the earth at that time. And that's when I really, really learned like what was going on in financial technology and embedded lending. But for me, it had been embedded in me from a little kid that I wanted to work in financial services because I wanted to be close to the money. And I knew if I got close to the money, then I would eventually find a way to make money. Fast forward many years. That first company that I worked for was Sendent Corporation, huge multinational conglomerate at the time, but they were an embedded lending company that was started in the late 90s. And through the experience working at Sendent Corporation, really ignited my passion for embedded lending. Actually, I built the idea of LoanSpark way back then and had been working on it for many years on a notepad over the years until eventually in 2021, we launched the company. But I owe a lot of that to my experience at Sendent Corporation, learning about embedded lending, embedded equipment financing, embedded mortgage financing, real estate financing, etc. Learned all of that there. And it has just kept me close since the beginning. I love financing. I love embedded lending. I love what we do. I would do it for free because I truly enjoy making access to capital and access to financial services easier for those who thought it was complex or thought it was complicated or didn't think they could get a loan or get access to financial services on the consumer side or on the user side.
Yeah.
So building great tools and building tools that enable people to get access to these things opens up their mind to new possibilities and hopefully helps them make money.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about my
That's
story.
lovely.
Just a little bit. Tiny bit. So really like to know a little bit about Newline. The first time we met, you mentioned the Newline product, and I'm very familiar with Fifth Third Bank. I mean, I think you've kind of been living under a rock or living in a cave if you don't know who Fifth Third Bank is.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at Sendent, Fifth Third was a client of ours at the time. And so that's how I was introduced to the bank. But there's this service and this product that you all have built and have been building for some time that I wasn't necessarily aware of. And I'd love for you to share with the world what Newline is, what are the intentions of Newline, and kind of what you believe the impact of the product and service is that you all have built.
Fantastic. That's a lot of pressure now. So Newline is basically our embedded payments group at Fifth Third Bank, and that group has been built through several acquisitions by Fifth Third. The great thing about Fifth Third, what I find is I've only been there about a year and a half, a little longer than a year and a half. But like you, I've always been aware of Fifth Third, just being in financial services. But I think what's interesting is, and what people don't think of as Fifth Third as an innovative bank, but we really are. We're always investing in technology and seeing how we could be at the forefront of how we offer banking. And so part of that was building this embedded payments group. Payments is always being a part of what Fifth Third offers. We're a big treasury management group as well. I think we're 6th in the country. I could be wrong and probably will be in trouble if I got that wrong, but I'm
sure the numbers can change, kind of like, is it Elon Musk or is it Jeff Bezos? Pick a day. It all depends on the day, right?
Yeah. Well, so Newline was born from our embedded payments group. We found that there was a need for us to try to offer our services in a more tech-forward way, and we did that through an acquisition of a company called Rise Money in 2023. Rise Money was a banking as a service solution, mostly consumer focused, with a full subledger platform, providing payment services and ACH and cards. So this is something that I think the bank thought would be an interesting addition to our embedded payments group, by providing like this service on top of the bank, to be able to provide, meet our customers where they are. APIs are overused term, but APIs are, everyone's like, we have APIs. Everyone has APIs.
Everyone's got APIs these days, right?
Right.
10 years ago, no one had an API. Now everyone's got an API.
Yeah. And this isn't new, right? So like you said, 10 years ago, people talk about APIs as well, and access to financial services through APIs. So it's not like new technology, but I think the way that the bank has acquired this company called Rise Money and integrated into our bank, so that now we are a fully functional banking as a service solution, but integrated into the bank. So the special sauce is the bank. We are, when you're integrating to Newline, you're not integrated to some third-party company. It's the bank. So all of the stability and the operational functions that come with a banking relationship are you're accessing through Newline. So it's all of our payment rails are available through our API. So you can access ACH, real-time payments, wire, which is also great. I mean, I don't know how long you've been doing this with payments, but I think wire has always been a very manual process. And behind the scenes, the functionality still exists, but the access to the wire, being able to send an API to send a wire has been one of the highlights of what we offer today. And the
bank that I bank with, Ali, when there's a wire being sent, they call you to verify.
Yes. Yeah. Well, some of that stuff is still going to happen, right? We're still, again, behind the scenes. I always tell people, there's still a bank behind the scenes, and so there's some of the part of the beauty of what we're providing is that one of the things that Fifth Third is always under the scrutiny of regulators, and we have our reporting agencies and all the things that a bank has to adhere to. And now we're just offering the service on top of the bank. It doesn't take away all those other things. So
Right.
we're still, our risk tolerance hasn't changed because we're offering technology. We still have the same risk tolerance. We
Hmm.
still are taking a risk-based approach to how we provide our services. It's just now we can meet technology partners where they are.
Makes
So
sense.
an example is, we work with Stripe, and Stripe is, as you know, one of the most tech forward of the payment providers, and
Oh, they
they're
are.
they're always
Yes.
innovating and changing and adding products. And if we didn't have that API functionality and the Newline platform that we've been integrated into the bank, we wouldn't be able to have a customer like Stripe. We could do their banking, but we couldn't support the services that we're supporting today in the way we do it.
Makes a lot of sense. So essentially this technology really has it's prepared the bank to be the leader, in essentially in embedded financing and money movement. I mean, that's really what it has done by
Yeah.
allowing these connections to organizations like Stripe or otherwise who want to utilize the bank's technology. So
Yeah.
that's
And
awesome.
Newline, again, it's our embedded payments group. So it does encompass more than just the Newline platform, right? The platform is, we're building, by the way, we're adding on to our product set. We have all of our documentation is publicly available at newline53.com.
Okay.
So anybody could really access and see what we're building, what we have, what's coming, what's readily available in a sandbox, what's available in production. All those things are available through our documentation. We have great documentation. But it also does include we do BIN sponsorship, and we're a long time BIN sponsor for issuing and acquiring. We do offer payment services that do not require an API. So we do
Okay.
have we are technology forward, but again, we still offer all the traditional products that come with embedded payments and finance. And so I wanted to make sure that that's sort of out there. Like, we're not just now this Newline platform. That's what we're doing, and everything wouldn't drive.
I understand. You're still a
I
bank,
love,
is what you're saying. We're still a bank, and you have the high tech, and you still have the low tech products as well.
yeah. I mean, the good thing, the wonderful thing about the acquisition of the Rise Money platform was we did also, inherit, a group of really talented and experienced developers and product people. And all of those things came over with the platform. So we do have developers and product people on staff. We're not outsourcing that work. So again, everything is happening within the bank, and I think that really also plays a role in our ability to grow and innovate and add products, all while following, a compliant format. So staying compliant with the bank's requirements, as well as all of our reporting agencies. I think that's really important. I mean, I think we all know, and we've seen over the last year and a half, why that's important. So if it takes you
Yes.
like a hot minute longer
Hmm.
to onboard or to get things in place, I think it's worth it in the long run, because then your customers have this sense of security that you're with a bank like Fifth Third, that we're not disappearing next week. We'll be around for a while, and I think as the regulations change and as they update to sort of catch up with where we are in the industry, that will just make us stronger. And we're not afraid of regulation and those changes. We'll take those in, we'll apply them to the product, and then we'll keep moving along.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I mean, compliance and regulations there's a gift and a curse, right? Depending on which side you're on. We at Lone Spark are very regulated, but because we're a commercial lending
Yeah.
institution, we are less regulated than, let's say, an institution that focuses on consumer lending, because consumer lending is a much more highly regulated industry, so to speak. But as you mentioned, a lot of the things that we've done at Lone Spark is we've ensured that we over apply the required regulation or regulatory environment to what we do, because we want our customers, we want our clients and our future customers and partners to understand that we're not fly by night company, and we're not, we take this seriously, and we have truly invested in ensuring that we are compliant, but also at the same time trying to make it as easy as possible for an end user to take advantage of the technology that we offer. So,
Yep.
so there
Amazing.
you go. Regulation and compliance. Okay, great. Sound like there's a lot of great things happening at Fifth Third Bank. I would, and others would also love to know what you believe the future holds for the bank, for the industry, for what it is that you're doing and building at Newline. What do you think the future holds? And now this, of course, is, it's kind of a little bit of a loaded question and in part an opinion question, but just wondering what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a bank, I think our plan is to sort of raise the bar for embedded finance. So through what we're providing, the way that we're providing it is sort of raising that bar for other companies to sort of reach where we are. And I mean, from a competition perspective, there are a lot of great providers out there, the banks that are much larger than us who are providing amazing products through embedded finance. But I think where we sit in the market, we're sort of in this like sweet spot. We're not this super huge monster bank, and we're not a small bank.
Yeah.
We sort of sit in a great place where we can still offer kind of a personalized service while offering a bunch of stability behind that from the bank's perspective. But the next year or two, I think will be a lot of building. So I see us as adding on to our product suite, maybe providing a more robust product that offers more services. Again, today we're at the payment, direct access to the payment rails through APIs. And in the future, I see us offering a more holistic sort of banking as a service solution to provide, ledgering and accounts and things that I think our customers are looking for from a banking as a service provider.
Okay. So that leads me to something here. When the bank is looking at prospective customers to utilize your technology, like what are some of the prospective customers? What do they look like? Would it be like, I know Stripe clearly is a customer now, right? Not a prospect anymore. But when you think about prospective customers, who would be a typical user for the technology that you've built?
Well, that's a hard. I think anybody who's any company, any organization that's offering payments or embedded finance through their own technology. And I mean, ideally, I love a licensed organization, but it depends on where they sit in the ecosystem. We work with Trustly. That's another great partner that we launched with this year. And then we made a big announcement this year, so I can share that. And they're a payments company. So I mean, I think it's. I wasn't prepared for this question.
Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering because as I think about what it is that is being offered and it's innovative technology, and I'm just thinking like, for those who are watching, like would they potentially be a potential client for the bank? So
potentially, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that I think go into how we look at a good partner. I think established, well-organized products would be a way for us to look at a prospective customer and say, hey, they have their product together and they're have a solid track record doing what they're doing, and now they want to add, let's say, an embedded finance component, or they're with an existing provider maybe that's not offering them, or maybe it's not maybe they're not able to provide the level of banking services that they need, and they're ready to go to the next level. Like, we're great for the next level, and we could help them get there. But I mean, we have there's a lot of spaces that we work well with. I mean, healthcare is one of them, property management, real estate, payroll providers. I mean, there's so many different partners and different verticals that really fit with what we're building. And I think it just depends on where they are in their process. So maybe a startup quite the right fit for us right now, but that's not saying that in the future they couldn't be. But today, maybe more established existing business that knows where it's going and has capital, has has a solid
They need capital.
plan.
Come to Loans Park. We'll help you with that.
And I was going to say, we can, this is, not that I'm selling your services, but, I think it's, again, just thinking for myself personally, talking to companies, I've talked to a lot of different potential partners as a solutions person. I'm not a salesperson. I sort of sit alongside them and help figure out if this is something that would work for their customers. And there's a lot of great businesses out there trying to make this work, and we're just not the fit for everybody. And so, but any of those industries and verticals that I mentioned, would be a great fit for what we do today. It's anybody who needs access to payment rails and has technology to support that, fully functional development team, all of those things. That would be a great fit for us.
Awesome. That makes a lot of sense and sounds good. Well, Ali, this has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate you sharing as much as you did today. And it was great to finally put this whole thing together. It was awesome. I had a lot of fun today. And I know those who are watching will also really enjoy the content that you've provided. So this is great. I would love at some point to do it again, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Michael. This was fun.